Welcome back to another edition of the Penn State 365 podcast. As always, when we talk Penn State Wrestling, I'm your host, Richie and joined as always when we talk Penn State Wrestling. I'm repeating myself now. My co-host, Joey Ponder. I'm not editing it out because I'm too lazy. I'm not doing it. I figured just go a little off script at this point. Screw it, right? Be it more real too, you know?
Right.
So Penn State, pretty big win, I guess big in terms of it's a Big Ten win, but not as big of a win as some might have expected against Nebraska last weekend. 31-7, a couple losses unexpected. Joey, what are kind of your thoughts on that one?
I think we said at the beginning of the year this was going to be the toughest duel for them outside of Iowa and Michigan. We knew that Nebraska had a really solid team last year. It's tough to wrestle there. They have a great team. There were just some things that I think we just kind of looked a little lackluster in some areas. I think a lot of the guys did look really good, but obviously the two losses didn't look great. And on top of it, the Bartlett win was a close match, which, Bartlett and Hardy always have a close match. But, Coach Sanderson said that the team kind of looked tired after the match, after the match he said they looked tired during the match. Let me say that. Say it that way. Which is pretty interesting coming from him. We know he's critical of the team to an extent. He's a pretty positive guy when it comes to media and press conferences and stuff like that. But, I think it's good that this team had to face a little adversity. It's been pretty much smooth sailing most of the year, and it was nice that they kind of had to battle through some things. But there's a lot to talk about with those three matches actually, we could also talk about Lillidahl was a great little test for him. So 25-49 was really, really where a lot of what people would talk about, that's where it all happened. There's a lot to break down there. So.
Okay, let's just start with that. Lillidahl, you just mentioned, nice little test against Caleb Smith, number 6 in the country.
Yep.
Ends up winning 4-2. Kind of upset, so pretty much. Technically in terms of rankings, but they're closer than that, I feel like.
Well, Caleb Smith really, he's a fifth-year senior, I believe. I think he's a fifth-year senior. If not, he's a sixth. He might have used his COVID year. But, Caleb Smith is a super offensive guy. He's quick, and he's a tough out. I'm fairly certain that he majored Braeden Davis last year, from what I remember. So obviously not a guy that, is a slouch by any means. But, with Lillidahl being, the true freshman, he's coming in, he's wrestling against a guy who's wrestled in college for 5 or 6 years. It's a really massive win. I know on paper, it's an upset because of the rankings and stuff like that. But I didn't think that it would. I thought it could go either way. I didn't think one way or another that Luke would lose or win. I just thought that it was going to be a good benchmark to see where Luke is halfway through his first year, and obviously, he's ready. He had a really clutch takedown at the end of the match. He was patient on the roll through and got the 3, and he did a great job. So, super impressed with Luke so far. I think, honestly, the expectation for him is to probably place, I would say, 4th or better. I think a lot of people would expect him to make the semis at least. Obviously, 25 is a pretty tough weight class. But, I think the sky's the limit for him moving forward. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him in the finals this year. I think it's a kind of a tall task for him at this point, but these guys, all these kids, they're going to continue to get better these next 2.5 months before the national tournament. So, really big win for him.
Yeah. Just for context, Caleb Smith is actually a 6-year senior, redshirt at year 1. Spent 4 seasons at App State, and then, of course, Nebraska the past 2.
Yeah.
133 pounds, a not so good decision against Penn State's favor. Number 16, Jacob Van D takes down Braeden Davis 14-7. It wasn't really a close one, to be honest with you.
No, and this was a tough match for me to swallow because there's a point and you watch the matches, and obviously it's really, really easy to sit here from a third-person perspective as a fan, as a media member, whatever. And it's really simple for me to sit here and say, oh, you should have done this different, you should have done that different. But I had two big issues with his performance in this match.
Mm-hmm.
My first was as soon as he got in on that shot, which he did at the beginning of the first period. It was a beautiful left-handed high crotch. He got in, and Van D immediately went to the Jonesy, which is you reach through, you grab your own ankle, and you try to roll into a tilt. Mm-hmm. You get 3 for the takedown, and then you get 4 near fall. It's a move that I think is pretty. I think Jermaine Jones, obviously, he's the one who got the credit for it. But Jordan Oliver was a big user of it. Chance Marsteller used it quite a few times. I actually learned it from him in high school. There's a point when that move is on you that you need to kind of think defensively and not offensively. Not, oh, I'm going to just ride this out and I'm going to get my 3 or whatever. Mm-hmm. There comes a point where if he continues to try it after 15 or 20 seconds, you might need to just cut your losses and bail out. Mm-hmm. Because if you don't, you're going to get yourself in a 7-point hole. And that's exactly what happened here. Mm-hmm. I don't mean to be overly critical. I don't mean to be blunt about it, but at the same time, if this kid continues to try it, he knows it's going to work. Get out of it. I just couldn't believe that he continued to let Van D try to work it. That's a move where if it doesn't work the first time and it doesn't really seem like it's going to work, you bail out on it. If it doesn't work the first time, but you start to kind of feel things start to move a little bit, you continue to try because eventually you're going to get that roll through. I didn't understand why he didn't just bail out. It was obvious that he could get back in on that shot. It was really, really easy for him to get on that first shot, but he just didn't give up on trying to finish it. Mm-hmm. And it cost him. He put himself in a huge hole early. My second bone to pick with him. Oh, did you have something to say?
Real. No, I'll ask you after, just because I'm curious. Okay. It's a different thought, but.
Okay, so with 90 seconds left in the match, I believe it was, or 80 seconds left in the match, their upper body, and he tries to throw him. He's down 4 points. You're a takedown away from being a point back in. You cut him, you get another takedown, you got the lead. We've already established that you can get in on a shot. Why are you trying to toss this kid with 1.5 minutes left? There's no reason to go for broke. You're not down 8 points with 20 seconds to go. You're down 4 with over a minute. Trust your offense, get in on a shot. I didn't understand for 1 second why he tried to toss him and go for this big move like he was down all these points. I think that from my personal take, I think Davis is a really, really good kid. I think he's going to go super far in college. I think he's going to All-American the next 3 years. I absolutely think that. But I also think, based on what he did at Nationals last year, and even what he did in the Big Ten finals, I think he's very emotional. I think he needs to kind of learn to get those things under control because there's no reason for him to go for broke with that much time left in the match. I think that cost him the match. Screw the bailing on the Jonesy or whatever. Mm-hmm. If he would have just remained composed and thought level-headed for a second and kind of processed the entire thing that was going on. Okay, I got 80 seconds to get down, to close a 4-point gap. That's more than doable. So, I just want to see him maybe kind of think things through a little more. He has a lot of potential to be a really good wrestler. I think as of right now, he is his own worst enemy. And I hope it gets fixed. I'm sure the coaching staff will kind of look at that with him, but I just didn't understand those two things. That for me was the most frustrating match that I've watched in a very long time.
Now, a couple things. I know obviously you broke it down pretty well, but you think it's just also a matter of like a kid like Jacob Van D being a Pennsylvania guy and just, this is the match I'm getting up for. This is the one. I'm going to try to prove Penn State wrong. Like they should have took me instead of maybe not Davis, because Davis was at 125, which another point, like, this kid's been at 133 his whole career, whereas Davis just bumped up in weight. Does that play a factor as well?
I think it could. I think it does. I don't know. I don't know whether Van D kind of feels like he had something to prove. because Penn State didn't take him, whatever. I don't know. I don't know anything that would indicate that, but I also know that Pennsylvania kids are just super solid mat wrestlers, and I don't know if it was necessarily like a bone to pick thing. I think that, and this is no disrespect to Vandy, but I think that Davis lost this match more than Vandy won. I know it's a 7-point difference, but take away the 7 and bring it back to when Davis went for the toss to try to win the match. It was only a 4-point match at that point. With a 3-point takedown, you're never out of the match anymore.
True.
It's not like if it was still takedowns were 2, you're down 4, and there's a minute left. I still don't know if I'd go for it then. I'd still probably wait for when there's less than a minute. But you're only a takedown away. If it's 4 points and it's a 2-point takedown, you got to get a takedown and get up, and then takedown, and you have to ride him out to win. If if you let him out, then it's overtime. With the 3-point takedown, it's just a total game changer. And I think that there are other wrestlers in this lineup that if they were in the same situation, I don't know if they necessarily would have been. I don't think they would have done this. If Mitch Mesenbrink was in this situation, if Kasich was in this situation, if Haynes was in this situation, Storace was in this situation, I don't think you'd see any of them go for broke move with that much time left.
Fair. Let's move on a little bit. Bo Bartlett ends up winning a close one against Brock Hardy, 8-7. I know I said it to you off pod, but I'm going to say it again on here. I feel like Bo's always ranked pretty high throughout the season, does what he has to do during the season, and then when it comes to the late season, postseason, it's just he falters somewhere along the way. Am I wrong in saying that?
No, not necessarily. I think, it's really tough to say this, but I don't think that he'll get there this year. Okay. I think that Mendez has kind of separated himself from Bo quite a bit. I thought that, last year Bo beat him in the duel, and then he met him at Big Tens and Nationals. He lost both times. And, I can't blame him for what he did in that Nationals match. He was offensive, and he just got caught and countered with no time left. From a competitor standpoint, you did everything you could to win. It just didn't go your way. And that happens, It happens at this level all the time. But with Bo, over the last few years of us doing these podcasts, I've always talked about the fact that I think he is more mental than anything. And I think he's discussed that. He's discussed his work with sports psychologists and other people. He is just somebody that I think he's a great wrestler. I think he's got really good techniques with some things, but he hasn't done enough to establish himself as the guy that can separate himself and have a chance at the end. I'm not saying that he won't win it. Sure. Crazy stuff happens at the national tournament. You could see Mendez get knocked out the very first round and be bumped down in the consolation bracket. Alvarez, the same thing. There are guys that are unseeded and they end up meeting these guys late in the tournament and they end up winning. I mean, Zeke Moisey did it years ago. He pinned Thomas Gilman in the semis and he was like I think he was seeded, but he was a very, very low seed. I'm talking like 16th or something and pinned Gilman in the first period in the semis. Jeez. And went to the finals. So that's my thing is there is a chance. I don't know if it's going to happen if he has to wrestle these really, really good, like top seeded guys. I'm not saying that Brock Hardy's a slouch. Him and Bo have had some amazing matches over the years. And Brock Hardy is a tough kid. He's very accomplished. He's an awesome wrestler. But I would just like to see Bo go out and make a statement one of these matches against these high-ranked kids. You saw Storace. I know it's Carter Storace, but he wrestled Silas Allred. Big Ten champion, super good kid, and he went out and majored him, and he pressed forward the entire match, super offensive. You just don't expect that out of Bo. And I think it comes from a lack of trust in his offense. And, I think that that's really what has limited him from being at the pinnacle of his weight class each of the last 2 years, is a lack of trust in his offensive attacks.
Next up, 149 pounds, probably the biggest upset of the day, I would say. Ridge Lovett not only defeats Shayne Van Ness, but majors him 10-2. How concerning is that? And anything you really stand out about? I mean, obviously the loss, but it's got to be pretty concerning. On like a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give me?
Yeah, in terms of surprise, Van Ness is one of those guys in this lineup where every time he goes out, I'm at a 9 out of 10 confidence level, especially against really good kids. When it's a kid that's like 10th or lower in the rankings, I'm 100% confident he'll win. I was actually under the impression at one point earlier this year that Shayne Van Ness would not lose another college match. I actually had a tweet where I said, a post on X, where I said that Mitch Mesenbrink would not lose again. And I deleted it because I forgot to put Shayne Van Ness in that same post. I did not think he'd lose again in college. Ridge Lovett, I believe he was the 1 seed going to nationals last year.
Yeah.
I would like to know what happened here. I'd have to watch the match back, but this was really surprising to me. I couldn't believe that he got put on, or, I couldn't believe he gave up near fall towards the end of the match. It was super surprising to me. Things like this are going to happen. He's going to have every kid's going to have like some kind of setback like this. I think, in all honesty, this is probably the best thing that's going to happen to him in his college career. I think this is going to be like the loss to Michigan for Ohio State. I don't think that he is going to have. I think he will avenge this loss at Big Tens. I think he will avenge this loss at Nationals, and I'm gonna say it now. I don't think he loses the rest of college. I'll say it now, and now it's effective.
There you go.
Yeah. Now I have a chance to be right.
I'm gonna have to go back and clip this.
Yeah. Right. But no, I mean, hats off to Lovett. He wrestled a great match. Like I said, I would like to go back and rewatch it because it's been almost a week since I've watched it, but. It was surprising. It was really surprising. If he would have dropped a 4-3 decision or a 5-2 decision or whatever, if somebody came up to me and said, "Hey, I'm from the future, and Ridge Lovett's going to major Shayne Van Ness tonight," I'd be like, "Hello, this guy." Yeah, I couldn't believe that he got majored by him. So, especially with how good he's looked all year. The All-Star match, he wrestled Ty Waters, who is a really interesting matchup for him because he's long and lanky, and those kids are really, really tough to wrestle a lot of the time because they're tough to get. Even if you can get to their legs, they're really good at countering things. They're usually great on top. He walked through Ty Waters with no issue. He had a great little foot sweep during that match. He looked excellent. That was a big reason why I didn't think he'd lose the rest of his college career because he's looked so solid all year thus far. It's just a misstep. It's a hiccup. It is what it is, and you move on.
Yep. So, rest of the way, we have 1 decision, 1 major decision, and 3 tech falls. Anything really stand out between those 5 matches? I know I don't want to go super in depth because I do want to get to this Rutgers preview and all that.
The only thing that the rest of the match that was really impressive to me was Josh Barr looked outstanding the other night. He obviously, I think everybody who knew who he was, and especially Penn State fans before the season started, had high expectations for him. He has got a great gas tank. He is constantly pushing the issue. Very offensive. He had a great match. Starachi was also another one where, as dominant as Starachi has been the last couple of years, we have seen some matches where, it's the scores looked close, but the match really wasn't. He looked so good the other night in terms of making a statement against a really good guy in Silas Allred. Very offensive, constantly putting pressure on him. Those were the 2 that really stood out to me. I was really impressed with those 2 matches in particular.
All right. Let's move on a little bit. Big preview for Friday night's matchup. Big Ten Network. If you're not going over to New Jersey, but 8 p.m. I think I got to double check on that.
Yes, 8 p.m.
8 p.m. Big Ten Network.
Tomorrow.
It's expected to be a sellout, from what I know. I know people are selling their tickets. Matt's side that are paying for their entire season ticket plan over at Rutgers. So that's it goes to show you what kind of crowd's going to be there. It might be actually like I won't say 50-50, but it'll be a significant Penn State contingent there.
I got a fun fact about that.
Oh, here we go.
Penn State, Ohio State in 2018, tickets for that were selling for more than Cleveland versus Golden State, LeBron versus Steph Curry.
That's
when I went to that.
Kind of insane, actually.
There were people selling tickets in front of Rec Hall for over $300 that night. Jeez. I still remember it.
Yeah. I know someone, my buddy of mine has Rutgers season tickets, and he said he paid, he sold his Matt side ones for like $350, and he's like, dude, I'm out. I'll go home.
$350 a piece.
Yep. And he goes, I'll go home and I'll watch the game or the match from TV, and you could have them. That just paid for almost my whole season. Like we're good. Wow. We're good here. See you later.
Yeah. Wow.
And not a lot of resentment because he clearly probably sold it to a Penn State fan, but it is what it is. Who cares? Like whatever. Money's money.
Right.
Anyway,
it's all great.
It's also interesting because this one's they're bringing out the TikTok famous Costco guys supposedly and the Rizzler, so it's a little.
Yep. This is obviously a huge attraction for people.
should be fun. Anyway, let's get back to the match. Oh, actually, recruiting wise too, Bo Bassett's going to be there. So obviously considering Penn State and Rutgers and 6 others, I think at this point, 5 others at this point. I think it's top 7 if I recall. Anyway, doesn't matter. Well, it does matter, but let's get to the match. 125 pounds. Luke Lilladell, number 6 in the country, is going to go against number 19 Dean Peterson, freshman versus senior. What are we kind of thinking here?
Peterson's, this can be another one of those matches, I think, where, Luke should probably win, but at the same time, you got a young kid versus a guy with a lot of experience. So it'll be interesting to see, but, I think Luke's gonna take care of business there.
All right, easy enough. Braeden Davis, we know, just suffered a nice little, or I shouldn't say nice, a bad little setback, versus Dylan Shawver, who did win Big Tens last year, if I recall correctly. Or am I thinking? Yeah,
is that right? Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah, he won Big Tens last year, and then
I think they did get one.
Shit the bed in not championship, the NCAA's.
Yeah.
So, yeah. What do we kind of think happens here? I know Davis on a little spill now. Spill? I don't know. One of the 2 words.
I might piss some people off here, but I'm going to go with Shawver here.
Okay, there we go.
I hate to do that because, I really like Davis, but I just think that Shawver is going to give him a really tough match, and I think this is going to be the one. I do think this is the one match that Rutgers wins in this duel. I think they will lose every other match, but and initially, to be honest with you, I was thinking they would get clean. I was thinking a clean sweep, but I hate to be this way, but I just think I would like to see Davis really hit some tough spots this year because I think it's really going to make him better. That's the only reason.
Yeah,
I hope he proves me wrong. I hope he goes out and fucking majors him or some shit. Like I hope he goes crazy. But I'm not sold on him at this point yet. I think that he needs to really take the emotion out of the competing for now, and maybe I'm wrong, but
I'm going to
go for it.
All right. 141, Bo Bartlett versus Joe Oliveri. Oliveri's 12-3 in the year. Bartlett undefeated, 11-0. What do we think kind of happens there?
I think Bo, I think he'll win.
Okay.
It's the matches with the guys that are ranked 10th or below that I would like to see him take some risks and work on some attacks and work through things. I think that if he could finish 2 or 3 takedowns against a kid like that, it would do tremendous things for the rest of his season. So that's my hope for him.
149, number 4, Shayne Van Ness. Homecoming a little bit for him. We know he just had that stumble we just mentioned against Nebraska, but homecoming for him as he goes back home to New Jersey against Andy Clark, the senior, number 20 in the country, who's 17-7 on the year.
I have 17-8 over here.
Oh, it might not have been updated then.
That's okay.
Either way, that's still not good.
Yeah. I'm gonna take Van Ness by a major here.
Okay.
I think he's gonna come out with quite a chip on his shoulder this week. I'm interested to see if he was dealing with something last week, but I think I'm not sure that's the case. I'm not making excuses for him, but I think this week he's really going to come out and have quite a showing. So
yeah. Looking back, I probably didn't even have to ask you that one because I remember you said he's probably not going to lose another match throughout college. So
right.
Besides the point, Tyler Kasich, we know, new weight class this year. The undefeated Doylestown native is going to take on a true freshman in number 31, Colin Harar, I think it is pronounced.
Okay.
If I'm right. I might be wrong on that, though, to be honest. So PA guy versus PA guy. What do we think happens in this one?
Kasich by... It's really, really risky to say Kasich by fall, but I'm going to say Kasich by fall.
Okay. I mean, it is risky. Like I said, people, once you put shit on the internet now, everyone just goes back and clips it the minute you're wrong. They never clip the minute you're right, though.
So, of course not. I mean, why would they do that?
Exactly. So, 165, Mitch Messenbrink, number 1, going against number 26, Anthony White. I think I have a feeling where you're going with this one.
I'm going to say tech fall there for Mitch.
Okay. Yep, figured that. 174, number 2, Levi Haynes versus number 22, Jackson Turley, who's had some ups and downs this year for Rutgers.
Which is crazy because he was an All-American.
Mm-hmm.
Was he an All-American last year or was it 2021?
I thought it was 2021 because I think last year he was hurt.
He took 8th in 2021. I think, obviously, Levi wins this match. But I'm interested to see how Turley looks because, like I said, I mean, he was an All-American at one point. So very, very surprised to see him at 10-5 and ranked 22nd.
Yeah, I got 12-5 over here, but I don't know what's right and what's wrong anymore.
I don't know.
I'm just going based off the Penn State website. So
okay,
if they're messing up, they're messing up. That's
whatever.
Next up, where are we at? 184, Carter Sirachi, of course. Number 1 is going to go against Shane Cartengo Walsh, who's number 18 and 17-5 on the year. I feel like this is probably leaning towards Tech Fall.
Yeah,
Maybe?
I would say that. I wouldn't be surprised with a major. I just kind of hope that he continues the offensive look that he came with last week. Like I said before, he has had a tendency to have very dominant matches that are close on the scoreboard, but not close, in performance terms. But I would like to see him continue with keeping the pressure up and everything like that. That's really what I like to see out of him. He's a super fun wrestler to watch when he is all offensive and just forward the whole time. So hope that keeps up this week.
197 pounds. Number 4, Josh Barr. We know the youngster's doing pretty well so far. He's going to go up against a little bit of a veteran in John Poznansky, a guy who started out his career really hot, was an All-American in 21, and then suffered an injury and hasn't really been the same since.
Right.
He's ranked number 16 in the country. Josh Barr's number 4. What do you think? This one I'm a little intrigued by.
Yeah, I think Barr will get him. But Poznansky's having a really good year, and so I expect him to, come out and be scrappy. I'm going to take Barr by decision here. I wouldn't be surprised with the major, but I'm going to take Barr by decision here.
Okay.
I think he wins by probably 7.
All right. Last but not least, heavyweight Kirk, number 2 in the country, is going to face a solid challenge for a change and go up against number 7, Yaroslav Slavakowski. That's a mouthful. I'm surprised I got that one right, to be honest with you.
That was pretty impressive.
But it's the Polish guy in me, even though I don't think he's Polish. I think he's actually Belarus, but either way, not the point. Close enough. It's all a ski at the end. But 7th NCAAs last year, 4th in the Big Tens last year. There's probably no shot at an upset, but do you think it's closer than most people think?
Yeah, Yaroslav, he's very good. I believe he was an All-American at Harvard before he came to Rutgers. I think he's been at Rutgers. Is this his second year?
second year, he actually entered the portal this offseason with the intent of going to a different Big Ten school. And then just things didn't work out money-wise, and he came back because I think Rutgers renegotiated. And that's how it works now, right? It's not free agency.
Yeah, right.
It is to an extent, I guess, but you can kind of just be like, hey, I'll pay you more. Come back.
Mm-hmm.
So, worked out.
But yeah, I mean, this is going to be a good match. I mean, I think I'm trying to think what they did. Do you know what they did when they wrestled last year? Because I can't remember off the top of my head.
In terms of what weight class it was?
Well, I know. Well, no,
those two.
No.
In
Like,
general,
yeah, the two of them.
Yeah. I'm dumb. I'm thinking ahead of the next question. That's a good question, actually. I don't know. It was 35-3. Where's the recap? Last year it was. They didn't wrestle in the actual duel. Did they wrestle? They had to wrestle in Big Tens, right?
Big Tens, I feel like they did, but I could be wrong.
Because
they did wrestle. They did wrestle at the Big Tens.
Okay.
I'm trying to figure out how to turn this down without killing my eardrums. Because I have it on a short.
2024 Big Ten wrestling brackets. See if we can find that real quick.
Okay, Kirk. I'm watching a short of it. Kirk went ahead and hit him with a blast double right away.
Mm-hmm.
I was here and I don't remember this. This was the semis.
Here, results.
Sweep single. Finishes it. It looks like it was 2024 Big Ten Wrestling Championships bracket. I'm just trying to find this. I'm just trying to find the brackets. Here we go.
Thought I had it, but apparently I don't.
1 second. Brackets PDF.
No,
of course. This is a blank bracket. It's not even freaking filled out.
That's what I'm trying to find too. It seems like they don't have any of the decisions here. Why don't they have the decisions? Where the hell is it? This NCAA website is so ass backwards, man. I don't get it.
I just tried to use the Big Ten. What? This is a shit show.
Anyway.
But Kirk beat him either way.
I would assume so.
So.
Here, bonus victories. Nope. Still trying to find it. Wow, I can't really find this at all. This is actually insane that it's not like just public like this.
Yeah, I can't believe that it's like such a hard thing to find.
Majored Slavakowski 9-0 in the semis, and then NCAA championships they didn't meet. So
okay, so 9-0.
Yeah, that was it.
Okay, and Kirk's looked really good this year. It's probably going to be him and Gable at the end. So, I mean, and don't get me started on that one. So, I'm going to say
NFL defensive lineman Gable Stevenson
and Olympic gold medalist.
He gets a ring
WWE
technically if they win, right?
Yeah, I think he would because he was a part of the practice squad. Could you freaking imagine?
A Super Bowl ring, an NCAA championship ring, like that's
Olympic
flex.
Olympic gold medal, Super Bowl ring. He did WrestleMania, which I mean,
that's
to each
cool, but it's like it's not like you don't get a ring.
National champ. Yeah, I mean, this guy's gonna have so much jewelry from his accomplishments. It's gonna be insane, but.
I'm actually curious how many people in the world, and he might be the only one, to be honest, with a gold medal, NCAA championship, and a Super Bowl ring.
Yeah, I don't think there's anybody because, let's see. Brock Lesnar was a national champ and played for the Vikings, but he got kicked off the team because he kept fighting people.
That's what you want, though. You want that mean guy mentality.
So true. You want a Myles Garrett who'll just rip their helmet off and just slam it in somebody's head.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see. Kurt Angle, he won gold, but he never played football, I don't think.
No. I don't think so either.
Yeah, he's got to be the first one
ever, like for that trio of things to have in your possession. Like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, he never. Yeah, I guess he didn't play football.
Oh, there is one other.
Who?
1964, Bob Hayes made history in Tokyo by breaking the 10-second barrier in the 100-meter. He became the only athlete to win a gold medal and a Super Bowl ring.
There you go.
Wow. So there you go, Bob Hayes. He won with the 1972 Dallas Cowboys, which
It's the last time they were irrelevant.
I was waiting for you to make the joke. You're the NFC East fan.
Yeah. Now, hell yeah. I'll make that joke easily. That is the most irrelevant franchise I've ever heard of. And I'm not going to go into super specifics, but how the hell do you interview a guy that you fired 3 years ago? Like 4 years ago, whatever it was. You fired Kellen Moore's
Who was that?
OC.
Oh, yeah.
Kellen Moore, and they're interviewing him for head coach.
Uh-huh.
What the?
He went from Dallas to L.A. to Philly in 3 years.
Fired to doing pretty well, and now it's like, what the fuck? Why would I go back? I don't. Anyway,
oh man,
way too off topic here, but
that's what it is.
Yaroslav and Gray and Kirk. So Kirk wins, obviously. We don't think Major probably keeps it close.
I think it.
It's a weird one.
It's a decision or major, I think.
Okay.
We'll see.
So Penn State winning everything but one match, which I was a little surprised by. I meant to ask you before over under 0.5, but you kind of answered that question pretty early. So
I think
how many matches they would win. So that would be interesting if they could pull that one off. But either way, should still be a pretty sound team victory for Penn State. This I almost said weekend, Friday night. I guess it's the weekend technically. So yeah, 8 o'clock, Big Ten Network. Anything else really before we sign off?
That's everything.
Chance to impress Bo Bassett. Just saying, he's going to be there. I know it's not their recruiting trip, but you're already recruiting them. You know Penn State's heavily involved. Chance to dominate the other team that's recruiting them. So you never know.
Right. It could end up being counterproductive for the Rutgers people, but you have to remember that the Costco guys will be at the match.
A couple of booms, boom.
Right.
Okay, I'm done. That was kind of cringy. All right, I'm over it. If you are going, yes, the Costco guys are supposed to be there. So is the Rizzler. So if you're on TikTok, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you're not on TikTok, which 99% of wrestling fan base probably isn't, more respect to you, because it's like it's hell. It's brain rot, to be honest with you. So anyway. This podcast got off to a rough start. It's got off to a rough ending, too. So that's just sign off there. Richie and Joey, that's another edition of the Penn State 365 podcast. Signing off.